Hi, and welcome to the February webinar series, part 2, where we go over how to turn a struggling community around. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. We are going to start with a little bit about me. I'm a 20-year veteran in the assisted living industry. I started out as a volunteer, concierge sales director, and then became an executive director. And I have turned struggling communities into high-performing communities, and I am currently a performance and confidence coach for seniors for senior living leaders inside the industry. My goal is to impact every life I touch for the better, and I speak the details that most bigger companies don't have time to speak. And that's my goal, is to teach you that the details are the magic that makes success. I'm currently a 2023 Bridge the Gap ambassador, mother of 2, married for 19 years, a podcast host for 2 shows, one for families caring for their elderly loved ones, and then one for senior living professionals like you. Everything is uncomfortable until it's comfortable. I can tell you that from my own personal experience and learning how to do all of this. That is very true. And it goes for your residents who are moving into your communities too, right? This is my grandmother. She lived in the community that I last worked in for her last 2 years of life. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, you make a huge difference in the lives of your residents and for their families, because our life, my mother and I's life, were changed for the better when we finally made the move into assisted living. This is my highlight reel for communities from 55% to 100%, or 64, 75, or 67% to 100%, on average, 18 months. So we know what it takes, right? This is a recap from last week. Success is 80% mindset and 20% everything else. It's the 80-20 rule, right? The other thing is, you are not defined by your thoughts. The voice in your head is not always right, and it isn't always you. And no matter how many strategies and tactics or metrics are thrown over your head of what you're supposed to do, none of them will make a lasting difference if you are not in control of your thoughts. So the old stories you tell yourself when you say that you're not enough, or why is this happening to me, or you're so scared of rejection that you don't even make a step forward, those have got to go, and you've got to replace them with stories that value you, that you understand you have to get through the bad to get to the good, right? Or that I am more than enough, and that my value is hidden from people because they were not assigned to my destiny. And the biggest thing that you can do for yourself is to know what you can control and what you can't control, and let go of what you can't, and put all your energy on what you can. The only thing keeping me from the success that I want is the story that I keep telling myself on why I don't have it. My beliefs will create or destroy my success. So change your story, change your life. We got to give Tony Robbins that credit. This is what I believe to be the wheel of success, right? This is how you garner success in your community. You love and respect yourself first, then you love and respect your team, and then you get that connection that you need, that full-on embodiment of a team working towards a singular goal, which is your clarity. And then you have the confidence in each other and your team and them and you, and that gives you the courage to take all the massive action that it will require to turn your ship around. Whatever it is, insert occupancy here, but it could be a struggle of operations. It could be a struggle of hiring people. It could be a struggle of a survey that just happened that did not have the best outcome. So where we put occupancy, you put something else, because it's all the same concept. You have to love and respect yourself. You have to love and respect your team. You have to have a connection, because 1 or 2 people cannot hit a goal of massive proportions. It has to be a team connected to one goal, that clarity portion, which will then give us the confidence to take the courage to sell more people, to stop the bad choices that are being made, and to change the tide, whatever is currently negative going on in your community. So I'm going to give you a sports analogy, okay? And I want you to decide which manager or leader you are, okay? So imagine you're a football coach Your football team is down by 30 points and it's halftime. You're rolling into the locker room and you've got two choices, two statements to make. The first one, we are down by 30 points and we only have one half to go until the game is over. Or it is only halftime and all we have to do is score 5 touchdowns to tie this game. It's the same concept, but it's two totally different mindsets. So which one are you? Do you say that we're down by 30 and we only have one half to go? Or do you say it's only halftime and we only have to hit 5 touchdowns? Whatever choice you make, you're either operating in the scarcity mindset or an abundance mindset. So the scarcity mindset would be it's halftime and we have to score 30 points. We only have one half to do it, right? But the abundant mindset says we have an entire half. All we have to do is score 5 touchdowns, because human nature, 5 is a much less number than 30. And can a team score 5 touchdowns in a half? Yes, they can. So it gives your team hope when you give them a scenario with hopeful words. And most people operate in a scarcity mindset. I know that I have. And once we understand the concept of the ability to choose our language and then how that will motivate people, it opens your mind to the limitless possibilities that can be. But you have to believe what you say, and you have to say it with conviction, because otherwise your team won't believe you. So let's look at some circumstances, right? So how to look at your community status and see things as they are and not worse, because that's our job as leaders, is to really see things as they are and not worse. Because without generalizing it, most of the community associates that we have will probably look at a situation worse than it actually is. But it's our job as leaders to just see it as it is, right? So here's our circumstance. My community is at 55% occupancy. The thought, I can't do this anymore. Can't do anything else to make it work. I've tried everything. We need more furniture. We need better furniture. I don't have a marketing person. I don't have one who cares. I don't have enough staff. All those thoughts lead to a feeling. And what are those feelings? We feel uninspired, depressed, small, hopeless. And those feelings lead to an action. So what actions are you taking based on those thoughts and feelings? No new actions. Bare minimum, because the belief is it won't work anyways. And so then those thoughts, feelings, and actions lead to what result? No growth, no motivation to a team, and only a self-fulfilling prophecy. So our circumstance is only the community's at 55%. But what changes are our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, and our results. All right, so let's change it up a bit. My community is at 55% occupancy. So the circumstance is still the same. My thoughts are, I have an opportunity to change a lot more lives than I am today. This occupancy does not reflect our potential, and we are here today, but not much longer. Those thoughts maybe inspire hope, possibility of living in possibility and potential. They inspire people. These actions will follow with the thoughts and the feelings. So the actions of being hopeful would be open to new opportunities, speaking with intention, motivated, happy, resolved, slow and steady progress in all areas of your community, because the circumstances are the same, but the thoughts and the feelings and the actions that you feel about that circumstances have a bit more of a positive spin, because you're operating in abundance rather than scarcity. So slow and steady progress is what you'll see. And that's what makes success anyways. That is a successful team, the slow and steady progress. Learning to work in a mindset of abundance takes practice, it takes discipline, it takes consistency. When you get the hang of motivating through an abundant mindset, your success is inevitable. I mean, it's not going to necessarily happen tomorrow or next month, but the process of joy and the process of relief, the process of motivation changes everything. And the morale in your community changes, and you'll just see that it's a ripple effect all throughout the community. But it starts with you. It starts with you understanding potential, the possibility of things, and that things just really are what they are. They're not worse than what they are. So you got to understand that what you say matters. The words you tell yourself matter. There are power in the words that will shape your future and the community's future. And when you give proper language to the way that you feel, then you have a tendency to feel like you can control how we think and control how we feel. The hardest battles that we fight are the silent ones, the ones that we tell ourselves, the stories that we tell ourselves. You know, depending on how you feel about your circumstance, do you feel shame that you got here? You know, do you feel responsible that you got here? That certainly is a feeling that we all can feel from time to time. And it's important that you change the narrative. You know, I was able to control what I couldn't, but there were a lot of things that I could not control that led us to this area. But right now, today, we're changing the story, and we're going to come back to where we know we can be 95 to 100%, right? And so it just takes that little change. Or I got lost and I stopped paying attention to the things that I once did. But now that I'm aware, I have a resolve to change it, and I'm focusing on the habits that lead me to success. Those are all stories that we change ourselves. Shame leaves us stuck, looking for no solutions, not even able to see the solutions that cause us to leave the negative situation that we're in. But when you're aware and you have hope and you change that narrative to, yeah, we got here, but that doesn't mean that we have to stay here. That's when everything changes. It's important for your team to know who are we, and it's important for you to know who are we. And that goes back to last week's series when we talked about the core identity of your community. Your community identity is important because it allows talking points to flow and grow, and everybody of your team has the same talking points because they know who their identity is together. And then they know, where are we now, right? You have that awareness of, we're at 55% occupancy, right? It's not where we want to be. It's not who we are. It's just where we are. And then where are we going? We want to grow. Every month we want to grow. And that's the roadmap that you create as the leader, and that how will we get there, right? And then what support do we need? I think it's important for you to ask your regional director or whoever you report to of the support that you actually need. Right? Here's the mindset that I'm in. Here's the goal of where we're going to go. Here's how we're going to get here. This is the support that we need. It would be hard to turn down somebody who knows all of that information and the support that they need. And then you look back at every month or maybe every week and you see how effective the changes are that we have put into place. And then you just keep going. Once you know your core identity and you know where you are, who you are, and where you want to go, the best thing to do is leverage every meeting you have to stick to your main talking points. You want to talk about the goals, where we are, where we want to go, how we're going to get there, and all the positive emotions that it will take to get there every single chance you get, right? It's the consistency of the communication. So when I was in a community, I made sure that I knew what I wanted to say all the time. And there were meetings that we had every day, which would be our morning director stand-up, our morning all-associate meeting, and shift reports. We know that those 3 meetings happened every day. One-on-one meetings could potentially happen that day, and then manager meetings could also happen that day, but typically manager meetings were once a week or once every other week or once a month, depending on what your directive is from your corporate office. So how do you gain the trust of your team with your communication in these meetings? Number 1, be honest. Don't sugarcoat it, and be very, very direct. The more direct and the more honest you are, I believe the more people will listen, and the more people, or the more attention you will have from them, because it's not all the time that you get pure honesty, like that. So take ownership of the current situation and make a few statements about how we are all overcomers. And with focus and hard work, we will grow our community. The more you say that, the more people believe, right? The more you see those commercials on TV for something that you want to try, the more that you're actually going to go try them. So repetition is mastery. It gives you the confidence to keep the message going, and it gives your team the confidence that they can achieve what is set before them. Show appreciation to everyone. Everyone. If they show appreciation to you, show appreciation back. If you never show appreciation to them, or if they never show appreciation to you, show them appreciation. Encourage everyone who will listen that more hard work is going to have to come, more discipline, more connection, and more awareness with the intention that they work in order to meet the goal of growing our occupancy or overcoming a survey or whatever the issue is at your community. And then be present and be available. The more you are present and the more available you are, the better it will be, because you have the opportunity to talk more about what the goal is, to spread encouragement, to spread hope. All of those opportunities are so important. And that is how you spread your message. At your morning stand-up every day, I mean, most companies have a guideline of what they want you to talk about inside your morning stand-up. So this may not be new information for you, but I do want to double down on the fact that it is important to talk about your current goals, where you are currently, the goal for the month, and the move-in goal, because the move-in goal is what we're aiming for each month, right? Of course, every company wants you to be a net 1 or a net 2. And I think that that could be certainly a goal that you shoot for every month. And you want to talk about that every day, because the more you talk about it, the more it's front and center in people's minds. You want to talk about the tour scheduled for today and the most important points for each tour. Why do you want to do that? Well, the sales and marketing director could get pulled into an emergency, could have a walk-in tour. There's many different reasons as to why everybody on the team needs to know the name of the person touring, who they're looking for, and then what are the main things they're looking for. And a great sales and marketing director will already know that information before the tour comes. Now, sometimes they're not going to know that because it's a walk-in or because they just called and said, can I come and see the place tomorrow? But for the most part, they'll always have that information. So the sales and marketing director should talk about that, and everyone could be prepared to introduce themselves to that tour and talk about how great they are inside their department. Sales and marketing can have a tendency to take up a lot of space inside meetings, but it's very important that you give every single department their time. Quality, consistent airtime is very, very important. So know what's for lunch that day, because residents look forward to meals at the community. Know what activities you can do and how you could potentially make time to actually be a part of an activity. Because when you're part of the fun, it helps spread joy. Just you as the executive director, but maybe even other managers can be a part of an activity, and to also welcome all associates to join an activity. It builds morale. It creates a team atmosphere and doesn't give time for people to talk about each other or any kind of negative aspect. We're working together as a team and we're having fun. How many times as a family do we go on vacation and we have fun and we rebond? Well, I believe that the activity department can do that for a team if we allow it to. From a maintenance standpoint, I think it's important that we know which rooms are available to tour, which ones are showtime ready, which ones are under construction, and which ones have somebody moving out, but all their furniture is not out yet. So it's a really important process for everyone to know, and that everyone should have one of each type available to tour if possible, and that every key director knows which apartments those are. An opportunity to do sales and marketing from inside the nursing department is if we have a resident in rehab or in the hospital. One of the number one things that I've always asked my nurses to do is to reach out to the family at least once or twice a week if their loved one's in the hospital, just to see how they're doing. It's a customer service element. And then also reach out to the hospital and talk to the social worker or the case manager and let them know how much we love our resident and we want them back. There's 2 points there. We let the hospital know that we love our resident, number 1, because not every community is going to do that. Number 2, they know their job is easier because they're just coming back to us. And so that is a marketing point and hopefully a few seeds that are planted that this community really cares about their residents. And so maybe they'll refer as referrals come to them and hopefully come to us as a community. And it also lets our families know that we care, that their loved one is not just a person in an apartment. So we actually care. And I know in Alabama, it allows us better control of what paperwork we need to allow the resident to come back and to kind of set the expectations to the hospital for the requirements that we need. I'm not familiar with all the other states and their requirements, but you could certainly use this as an opportunity to communicate what will be needed upon discharge because we love our residents very much. Inside these meetings, talk about the great things that are happening. Every time you celebrate a small victory, a small amount of momentum is built. And if you were in this meeting every day and we celebrate 3 to 4 victories, the little snowball of momentum gets bigger and bigger, and eventually it's just going to consume everybody. Also take the opportunity to talk about the roadblocks. If there's a big roadblock in a certain department, and allow the team to work together to try to remove it. Because the goal is forward progress every day. We're better today than we were yesterday. But sometimes working together as a team and having different minds look at the same problem can allow some creative problem solving that will organically grow a team spirit. So give good airtime to both the good things and hard things and watch your team grow. Now, granted, you want to keep the meeting as short as possible. 15 to 20 minutes is probably all you need. And some days you don't even need 15 minutes, depending on who's all there that day. So as the leader of your community, you need to highlight the positives and the negatives and allow your teamwork to be displayed. Give adequate time to each department. Use language, use the words of hope and motivation and knowing that we're living in the land of possibilities. And watch the process of joy unfold and the earning of the reward. It's a slow and steady process, and it's a beautiful thing to watch unfold. Let's talk about the morning all associate meeting. So this came down from the last company that I worked with, and it kind of took me a minute to wrap my mind around, can I make this happen? I'll admit it, I probably was working in a mindset of scarcity. I don't have enough time. How am I going to manage to get all these people together? The way that my community at the time was kind of laid out, it was in 2 separate buildings. There was no way I was going to be able to do 2 separate meetings. I was a little bit slower to the morning all associate meeting bandwagon than most. But once I committed to it, I saw the power in it. And so right after stand up, all the associates who are working that day in the morning, those who could come and weren't involved in cooking a meal or resident care, would be there. And we would go over the short stuff, the stuff that we could talk about as a team, a bigger team anyways, inside that meeting. So we talked about the tours, and we talked about residents who were in the hospital, and we talked about the good things that were happening, and we gave public praise to people. And I spoke to every compliment that I had received the day before. And we talked about the 30-second commercial, and we offered the floor for anyone to want to thank somebody for the hard work that they were doing or that stepped out of their comfort zone and worked in a different department. And then we gave each manager the opportunity to have a short blurb about what's going on in their department. I cannot even begin to tell you how that meeting alone changed everything for my community. And it allowed me to be the one that gave the information, the important information, where we are now, where we're going. Here's our goals. Here's our occupancy. Our goal for the month is this. We're here today. We only need 2 more move-ins, and we've got 3 tours scheduled for the next 2 days. They were part of the process, and you could tell they were just so thankful for it. Everybody wants to be part of something good, bigger than themselves. Everybody wants to feel a part of the process. And when we allow them to be a part of the process, then we have a point of difference that not every community has. But you as the leader have to make it fun. You have to make it bigger than themselves. You have to thank them for wanting to be a part of it and be consistent with it, because most of our team members are going to watch and wait to see if this new behavior, right? If this new version of you is going to be here. And you have to commit to it till the end, until you get to 100%, until you feel like you're confident in your new role of motivator. So try it, but stick to it, commit to it. Even when you don't feel like it, you do it. It's discipline. It's a non-negotiable. When you do this and you do it right, things change. And it's almost like it changes overnight. But if you look back, you see the small changes that lead to the big results. One of the other things that we talk about are when residents move in, when the families come in to move their stuff in, to encourage people to introduce themselves and to give them the 30-second commercial of what they do. Can we offer you anything to eat or drink? And just be a customer service at the very beginning, even when the resident isn't there, because we serve the families just as much as we serve the residents. At the end of every meeting, we have an affirmation. This affirmation started because of COVID, honestly. I was overwhelmed and scared, nervous and anxious, and my team was just full of fear. I saw in our morning meetings just all this fear staring at me in the face, and I honestly wanted to run away. I didn't want to be there. And so I literally just said, we've got to remove the fear from this community. And we have got to find it within ourselves to do the right thing, to rise above, and to move forward. And so every day, this is what we said at the end of our all associate meeting. You can put your hand over your heart and repeat after me. We are well and not sick, rich and not poor, the head and not the tail, above and not beneath, blessed and highly favored, more than conquerors, and we can do all things. We said that every day, 5 days a week. And I will just tell you that over the course of time, my life changed. I believed what I said, and it actually opened my eyes to the small things. And we were able to, as a group, talk about the blessed and highly favored moments, the more than conqueror moments, and for everyone to believe that we were the head and not the tail, and that we are above and not beneath. Because honestly, we need to be reminded of our value and that we're capable more than we need to be managed. Because if we know our value and we know what we can do, success is inevitable. But sometimes we get beaten down so much just because of life that we lose sight of those things, and then our negative thinking can kind of come back. But if we can remind ourselves of our true worth, of our true value, and the possibilities that this team can accomplish, it's inevitable. It's one of the best things that could ever happen. And that's what we did. The other meetings that we can do are shift reports. And this is as a group, and it's your opportunity to, again, continue the message, right? Your presence inherently makes that meeting more valuable. It allows them to listen more intently and to speak with intention too. So spread good news, the move-in information, the tour information, just any important facts that everyone would need to know, open enrollment, things that are due to home office from an all associate standpoint, and bring goodies, bring drinks, bring snacks, do something just because. Those are the things that people remember the most. And that's how you plant the small seeds to get a big harvest. When we talk about meetings, we talk about the morning stand up, the morning all associate, and the shift reports. That's how you leverage more people and to get your message out on a consistent way. I don't really go into one-on-one meetings or manager meetings because it's the same concept as the larger meetings. It's just a little bit more specific of the different tone. So customer service, we automatically think, okay, this is for our residents and our families. But when you are trying to turn the morale and the negative stories that we tell ourselves as a team of a community that's struggling, you want to really focus on customer service as your team. Because if we can share our love with our team and grow that connection, then the customer service for your residents will come organically. So introduce your team on tours and talk in a positive way to them. So if I was on a tour and I saw a caregiver named Erin, and I would say, Mr. Miss Smith, this is Erin, and she is our lifestyles assistant here. And her joy in life is to sing and dance and make people happy. She does this at bingo. She does this when having parties, and she will take people outside and plant the plants if they like to plant. And so I just gave a 30-second commercial giving an associate a raving review about what I feel like is their worth, their value, and their commitment to our team. And the family member feels, or the person touring feels happy, feels confident, feels this connection of a team between the associate and myself. And to take that a step further, as we move away from Erin, I double down and I make another compliment to her, to Erin, to the tour about Erin. And I say, we wouldn't be who we are without her at this community. But I say it enough that Erin, the associate, still hears me. And I just added a huge deposit into Erin's emotional bank and then to the bank of the person that I'm touring, because I doubled down on a compliment and I didn't have to give that compliment because that person wasn't standing in front of me. That is a scenario of a win-win situation. You are building up your team. You're telling them their value. You're showing them their value, and you're hopefully going to get a resident because of that. Another way to give customer service to your team is roll up your sleeves just because. Get in there and do it just because, not because you have to. You'll be surprised of how many bonus points you get for that. And then just say something positive about anything not superficial, not necessarily based on the way they look that day, but saw the way that you cut that food up for that resident. And I thank you. You did it without them asking. And that was a proactive way to serve our residents. Thank you. Just something like that. And it makes them feel happy. Again, we all want to be seen, heard, and valued. We all want to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. And the more that you can use the good to get you to your goal, the better. The consistency, the discipline of looking at life through abundant eyes instead of scarcity eyes and pulling out the good in people will take you where you want to be. When you do those things, those tasks consistently, belief will happen and change will come to your community. Your joy will return, your motivation will return, and you will grow because you will see the evidence of your hard work. But look for the small changes because you're going to have to look for the small ones in order to see how they grow into the big changes and the results in your community. And have the courage to continue. There are going to be negative people standing in your way, but don't let them deter you. Move forward every day. Forward progress. Be better than you were yesterday. That's the only thing that you have to do. We do not compare to everybody else. You be better than yourself. These small details will create the momentum you need to be a success. Creating momentum is creating belief, and it's believing in that belief, which then leads to potential, right? There's a possibility that we can actually do this. I know that we can do this. I see it happening. And that potential, a possibility, will lead to action. And then that action will lead to results. But it all starts with, do you believe it? And then do they believe it? And all the things and the words that you use and how you use them and where you use them are very, very important. So your homework, as always, is have fun, show appreciation, give yourself grace, give yourself credit, and take massive action. You've got to give yourself credit. Just take a few minutes and write things down that you accomplished from the day before. In your first email from me, you received a journal prompt. And I think that those are so important if you use them. It literally will give you the evidence that you need to give you the confidence to move forward. And it will also give you the awareness of what could stand in your way and how you would need to get around that. And you can write down how you feel so you can either get it out if it's a negative thought or celebrate it if it's a good thought. But use that journal and then review it when the month is over and see what patterns you see. Because you've got to give yourself credit or you won't even realize how far you've come. It's an amazing concept to learn. And it's not something that I think I did very well, but I'm actually using that now and I feel much better. I have a more consistent, abundant mindset because those journaling prompts help me identify that. And I'm giving myself credit for what I have done because this is a new position for me. And so the confidence that I had inside of a community is certainly not the confidence that I have right now, but I've already seen the work that I've done. And so I'm stacking the evidence of my work and it's outperforming the self-doubt that I have. And that's the goal of that journal, especially when you're changing your thoughts about a circumstance. You want to give yourself credit for the massive action that you're taking. And if you make a mistake, give yourself grace because you're going to make a mistake. These are my podcasts. This is my family podcast. I have fallen and need some help, where I just am really, my goal is to educate, empower, and family members to take the best care of their loved ones. I'm going to teach them about assisted living and all of senior living and ways to find the best communities. This is the Aspire for More with Erin podcast, where I'm talking to you, the senior living leaders, about how to better motivate you to let you feel seen, heard, and valued, and to grow your community as well. Because the senior living industry is hard to navigate sometimes. You know, when you have 5 components of people you have to keep happy who are equally as important: the residents, their families, the associates, your home office, and whoever monitors your Department of Public Health or gives you your license. It can be so overwhelming. And sometimes you don't know which way to turn. And so hearing it from somebody who did it and for the most part did it pretty well, to be a motivator to you is something that I want to do. So who is Aspire for More and what do we do? I am basically building a community of support and encouragement for all senior living leaders. I want to build a sorority, fraternity, just a community where people come to receive encouragement, motivation, and support and walking through the hard things. I recently have joined a mastermind, so to speak, a support element, a business group of people, like-minded people trying to achieve the same goal. And I want to do that for this industry. And I feel like if I would have had that, I would not have been as hard on myself inside the community. And I would have had a safe space to talk about hard times and to feel like I wasn't alone. I feel like sometimes I just felt alone and really down on myself because I did feel the way that I felt. And other people feel the same way. So why not have a group where people of like-minded goals and problems and positive outcomes can come together and encourage each other? Because if you work in an abundance mindset, there's enough for all of us. And we are a select group of people that not many people understand our jobs. So why not be in an environment where we can support each other because we know what's going on? And then I offer also one-on-one coaching so I can help with your mindset and walk through things to you. New executive director who wants the detailed training that maybe home office can't give, or those soft skills training that typically you don't find in trainings for any company that I've ever worked with. When you come into the Aspire for More group, all you get is people who want to support you. That's it. We're not measuring you. We're not evaluating you. We're not assessing you. We literally are supporting you only for your success and helping you create momentum and motivation through mentorship. We focus on the process rather than the outcomes or the goals, and your commitment to the process of success will ensure your success. Thank you for your time. I certainly appreciate it. And if there's anything that we can do for you, or if you have any questions, you know where to reach me.